Hi, it's Mary Alice here, back with you with some exciting research I want to share with you. Um, Sorry about the angle of my camera. I can't get it any better. I know I look a little crooked, but anyway, what I have to say is more important than the angle of this camera. So, as you know, I like to share with you things that come across my awareness in my email or in books or whatever. So, if you've heard any of my videos before under creativity or values, you might have heard me talk about a gentleman named Mark Waldman, who's a brain researcher and scientist. He and his colleague, Andrew Wahlberg, I always want to I always get their names Andrew Newberg. It's Andrew Newberg, Mark Waldman. I always get those two. Anyway, they've written a lot of books together. I have been aware of Mark for many years, about 11 years. I've been to conferences where he's been the speaker. I've been able to speak with him personally. He's pretty incredible. His work is amazing. So I talked about him under our talk about creativity. I have 2 episodes on that. And because he's also an artist, and he studied the brain under creative during a creative moment in time. And he and Andrew studied what the brain looks like and what it accesses and how it lights us up and all this. That's really cool. Anyway, I won't go down that road, but I want to share with you what he just recently sent in an email and about beliefs, between beliefs and our values. So I'm going to read this, so bear with me. I got to put my glasses on and off. Hi, Mark Waldman here. Here's a new neuroscience discovery that may surprise you. Our most permanent memories are our most sacred beliefs, be they personal, political, social, or religious. Did you get that? Did you get what he just said? Our most permanent memories are our most sacred beliefs. I can't wait to comment on that, so hang on. Each time we think about those beliefs, the synaptic connections that hold them in place get stronger and begin to unconsciously influence us, often for the rest of our lives. When we encounter someone who holds a different or opposing belief, it literally creates a form of neural dissonance. And no matter how hard we try, we can't get rid of them. Whoa, isn't that true? Isn't that true? Now, if you were with me and you followed me and you listened to what I've talked about in the past of since August about our belief system. So I'm just going to take a little trip down a side road here for a second, and then I'll get back to the text here. When we talk about beliefs, you heard me talk about, how we operate as human beings. How do we function when we're accosted as children, we're abused, or we're suffering trauma? And I talk about that children only know who they are and how they're valued by how they are treated. So usually those who are the ones that should be helping us, guiding us, teaching us, loving us, having fun with us, nurturing us, might be the ones neglecting us, hurting us, bullying us, causing trauma in our lives, because they suffer a mental illness or a personality disorder, or they're addicted or alcoholics. I mean, there are different reasons that our parents create trauma in our lives, okay? Different reasons. And their parents did it, and their parents did it, so it's a human condition. It's just a human condition. And the more aware we become of this, the better, because then we can deliver within ourselves values of when we become parents, we're going to do it better, right? No one's perfect, but we can do it better. So let me put it this way. As I started saying, children only know who they are by how they are treated. So some of us, being brought up in homes with abuse and neglect, or whatever you went through, we start telling ourselves, and it's in a subconscious way, I must not be good enough. I'm not lovable. There's something wrong with me. And when those feelings begin to get within us, this part of the brain, the primitive part of the brain, that its only function is survival and comfort zone, will begin in us to create coping mechanisms. And so the coping mechanisms, depending on your personality, your environment, you will develop these coping mechanisms to survive what you're going through. And I shared with you, for me, it was being quiet, don't speak, no one cares what you have to say, make everybody happy, spin those plates, just be a people pleaser. And in so doing, our coping mechanisms get embedded along with these belief systems, and then we drag them into adulthood, right? And we just live by default, thinking and believing this is what it is. This is who I am. And it couldn't be further than the truth. Our true self is in there, but the beliefs we have about ourselves or other people or cultures or whatever, because we're told what to believe, we see examples of adults around us thinking and believing certain ways that we need to take on. No, we don't, but we do because we're children and impressionable. Again, Mark says religion, politics, self-beliefs, worldviews, all of that, our deepest memories of those are what creates our belief systems in this world. That is so incredible to me to think that way. So I wanted to remind you about what he's talking about also is exactly what I've been trying to get across about our belief systems about ourselves or about other people or even religion. I want to do a video on religion because it's very separate than your spiritual life. And many religions cause great harm and keep people in a box and to control them. And Mark talks about that when I'll continue to read. But I want to talk about it in a separate video, so I'll keep it separate. But what Mark talks about our belief systems, they're very limiting. Let me continue here. Beliefs have been a topic of fascination for me and Andrew Newberg, and our brain scan studies of different spiritual practices brought us to this conclusion. Our brain is filled with beliefs which are nothing more than assumptions we've made about how the world works, or I would add how we work as well, or who we are. We think they are true, but they aren't. Our first book together, Born to Believe, explored how our brain builds false beliefs about nearly everything. Everything. It does. Because when we're building these beliefs, we're a lot younger and we'll believe anything. Anything goes inside us up till about the age 7 or 8. Because of the brain wave that we're functioning in as children. Everything just goes in. And so we just take it. Okay. I'm in a Catholic house. I'll always have to be Catholic. Well, your grandparents were Catholic and your great grandparents were Catholic. And it's like, or whatever religion, so it's, or whatever, how you voted, whatever. These are belief systems that aren't true for who you are, but we hold them like if we don't believe them, we're just going to shrivel up and die. All beliefs are limiting because they are filled with assumptions. I'm rereading this because it's true. We made long ago. Many come from our parents, teachers, and friends, and we strengthen them by reading books and watching videos that are created by people who are married to the same beliefs. They become so strong, they are like rocks in our brain. We can't get rid of them, even if we tried. What do you think about that? I think that is so true. We have belief systems within us that, what I believe is true, and if you don't believe it, you're going to go to hell. Or it's so true, if you don't believe it, you're going to ruin the country because you're voting for the wrong person. Or it's all these like crazy, and this is where conspiracy theories come from. And people who head up a lot of conspiracy theories tend to have a personality disorder such as narcissism. And yet people will believe. They'll just, something will be on YouTube or on the news or whatever, in a mail or email, and they're like, oh my gosh, they said this, it's got to be true. They don't go back to their critical thinking skills, or maybe they've never developed critical thinking skills. They just believe it because they said it and so-and-so said it and they got it from so-and-so, so it must be true. No. We have to be so careful what we believe, what we think is the truth. The thing about beliefs is, it's like Mark said, it's from a series of assumptions. So if we go back to childhood and we go back to what I just referred to, like being traumatized, and children make up, well, I have to work harder. They become the overachiever, or they become the constant victim, or they become the codependent because of their coping mechanisms that get embedded as children, are genius at the time, but we drag them into adulthood, and then we believe, well, that's just who I am, or that's what I'm supposed to believe, or that's because that's what I know. And we don't question what we know, and we don't question what we believe or why we believe it. We just don't, because we think something terrible is going to happen to us. We'll make God mad. I heard people say that, well, I don't want to make God mad. I'm like, what are you talking about? That never made sense to me. But anyway, other people might say, well, that'll upset my parents or my grandparents if I don't vote this way, or if I don't go to this church, or if I don't dress this way, or if I don't think this way, it's going to upset them. And it's such a controlling factor when we have belief systems within us that are gagging us and controlling us in ways that aren't right, because our values, and this is what Mark is going to talk about in just a second, is what really guide us, is what leads us and brings about our passions and abilities and creativity. So I'm going to continue. All beliefs are limiting because they are filled with assumptions we made long ago. Many come from our parents, teachers, and friends, and we strengthen them by reading books and watching videos that are created by people who are married to the same beliefs. They become so strong, they are like rocks in our brain. We can't get rid of them even if we tried. And I reread that for a reason, because I think it's something to really consider and understand. The neuroscientific solution is surprisingly simple. Become aware of these rock-like beliefs. Write them down. Mindfully observe them, and mindfully observe the beliefs you don't believe. Now, focus on your deepest, innermost values. Notice how they feel fundamentally different from your beliefs. Those values give your life meaning and purpose, and they are the neurological passions that drive you toward rewarding goals. I did a few episodes on values and core values. It's so important to understand within yourself what they are. There are people who don't even know what they value. They might say something, but when you watch their lives, it's not the same thing. And I think this is what Mark is getting to. Well, what do you believe and what your values are might be different, and usually are different. So, values are also flexible, changing with each situation we are in, and they are often more useful than our beliefs. Beliefs are also useful, but don't confuse them with facts. And when you meet someone who has different beliefs, ask them what their deepest values are. Often you'll find that they resonate with yours. This is so true. So, what Mark is saying here is what we believe about ourselves, about politics, about religion, about a different culture, about the community next door to you, or whatever developed belief systems you might have toward these things, will make you act in certain ways and think certain things that aren't quite the truth, but you believe them to be true. Whereas our values is what guide us. So when you know what you value in life, what are your core values? So for many, like what Mark is saying is, let's strip away religious beliefs, political beliefs, worldview. Let's kind of strip away all that. And if we were all to connect on that level, we'd all see that we all want to be loved and be loved. We all want to provide for ourselves and for our family. We all want the freedom to to enjoy what we like in life, you know, go fishing when we want, or be an artist, or be that musician, or, you know, what do we value? What's important to you? And it's going to be a little different for everybody, but the basic values are true for everybody, pretty much. But what we believe or hold as beliefs will direct us as how we think we should get that. So let's say political views, like, you know, this political view says we can only do it this way, and this is the only way that's going to work. And then this side, this political view says, no, we only got to do it this way. This is the only way it's going to work. But the bottom line is we all want the same thing. We all desire the same thing. But sometimes what we believe about things will cause us to become enemies. And that's what's mind-blowing, if you think about it. There's not one true way, so to speak. It's working together. And I love, anyway, I'm kind of getting off. This is like my 4th time doing this video because my mind keeps going deeper and deeper, but I don't want to make this too long. But our values are flexible. So what we value as a teen is going to change in our 20s and 30s. And what we value in our 20s and 30s might change when we are in our golden years, so to speak. But the core value of being loved and wanting to love is the same. You know, those things, there are core values that are the same. The beauty you like to experience in life, or maybe in your environment, that's a core value for me. Nature, being out in nature when you can, and loving nature and respecting nature, and all creatures great and small. You know, what do you value? And does your belief system go along with what you value? And I do believe that when we are, as much as possible, aligned body, mind, and soul in these ways, we live more authentically and real within ourselves. And we learn to really love ourselves for who we are and how we function in this life. And I really believe that see, I'm talking about what I really believe, but what I think is true basically is that we all love one another, to respect one another at least, and to get along as much as possible, and to really question our value system and look at it clearly, and also our belief system. This is how racism develops. Babies aren't born racist. They're taught racism. You know, we aren't born to believe a certain religion. We are told what to believe, and it's exampled through us, or we're taken to temple or church or wherever, right? And there's nothing wrong with learning about a higher power, about God, about that whole aspect of our spiritual lives. I think is of great importance. But how it's done in different cultures, different religions, there's no one that's just right and perfect, and this is the one, the only true way. I don't think is reasonable to think. Been there, done that. So let me continue. Having shared beliefs is a convenient way to govern society. Yes, it is. Or any group of people who need to work together. But they also strip us of our individuality, uniqueness, and creativity. Having shared values creates greater cooperation in the present moment and transcends those beliefs that are anchored in the past. Observe your old beliefs without judgment, and they'll slowly fade away, and savor those values that give your life meaning, purpose, and direction. So let's say you work in a corporation, but you have varying degrees of people who have different lifestyles, different belief systems, religions, okay? But the value of the company, you can all rally around. You can all understand that what this company values is great customer service, wonderful quality products and things like that. Like we can all get around that no matter what you believe, right? It doesn't matter if you're Buddhist or Catholic or Protestant or Jewish, doesn't matter, because you're working for a company that you really, really enjoy being with, and you believe in their products and you believe in their policies. It's a value. You value what they're offering to you and to the public. Usually, this is an ideal situation, right? Not everybody loves their job, but let's say you have a company that you really like working for because they're great people, they have great values, they value their customers, they value their products, and you like that. So it doesn't matter what religion you are. It's the value system we can all relate to. And that's kind of a general way of putting it, but this is what Mark is alluding to or talking about. So Mark says, take a moment right now and ask yourself what your most sacred belief is, and then ask your intuition, what is my deepest value? Now savor the difference, if there's a difference. Some people are more aligned, and so what they believe and their values kind of align, and they move forward in life and grow and learn, and every day they just want to be a better human being. Now, I'm not talking about perfection. We all have hard days, we all have bad days, we all have difficult times. Yes, that's a given. But how we get through these things depends on what we believe. So I think when I talked about grief in one of my videos, depending on the person's personality and how grieving was exampled for them or how they felt it, will depend on their belief about it, their personality, the depth of the feeling of grief. I've known some people in my life, when they're grieving, you would never know it. They're so stoic and they get through it in their own way. And other people are more emotive and emotional and need to talk about it, or they need to isolate. Everybody's different that way because who they are and how they've developed as who they are as a human being. And by the way, there's no perfect way to grieve. Everybody's going to do it in their own way and in their own time. There's no right or wrong way. There's not. So I'll just put that there. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you because it made me excited about what Mark and Andrew were talking about and their research about it, and to help us think about what we believe. What do we believe? Why do we believe these things? Who told us to believe it? And who told them to believe it? It takes some critical thinking. It might even take some research, Go for it, because we can really get in deep about ourselves even. Why do I think I am a certain way? Why do I think less of myself? Why do I have low self-esteem? Or whatever you might struggle with, it might be because of a belief system you developed as a child, because of something you went through, and then you had to bring about this idea of a belief that you just weren't good enough or smart enough, right? And that's just not true. That's just not true. Even your religious beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, why do you believe these things? Write about it, think deeply about it. And not just say because the Holy Book says I need to think this way. Who says you have to think along those lines? Is there what brings you to that decision? And really know why you believe what you believe. I think that's so important in our life. Not to be so blind about things. But that's me. I'm speaking for me. So one last thing, Mark says, P.S. Don't confuse a belief or a value with a hope or a fear. Those are the least stable memory traces in your brain. So our least stable memory traces in the brain are those of hope or fear, and fear. So when we're kids and we're hoping Santa's going to come, or we have a great fear of the dentist, or I don't know, something, those aren't in our favor. And those are the least stable memories. But somehow we'll still keep believing, oh, I've got to be afraid of the dentist, or I have to be afraid of this, or because something, or dogs, because you might have had a bad reaction to a dog, maybe allergic, or maybe they bumped you, or they even bit you. So, you're a kid and now you hate every dog. You have this belief system that's developed from fear, or even maybe a hope or a false hope. These are so good things. See, this is where I like to go. I like to get deep in these things and talk about them. And it helps us understand ourselves better. And I think that's the bottom line, is when we can understand ourselves better, understand who we really are, understand what you like, what you dislike. Why do you believe what you believe? And some things we can learn to change. It's like Mark said, he goes, if you think about them, you write them down non-judgmentally, some of these things begin to dissolve because they don't need to be there, those belief systems. Anyway, and then the next thing I wanted to share very quickly is the day after I read this like 5 times, I saw, long story short, I was on YouTube looking up a certain information of a speaker, and on the same page was Tony Robbins, and he was interviewing an AI robot named Sophia. And Sophia's been around. I mean, Sophia's even wound up on talk shows, but this was 2017, 6 years ago. So can you imagine how far AI has come? So Sophia has kind of feminine traits, her facial features, her voice, right? And Tony is interviewing Sophia about herself. Like, how does she know what she knows? And what does she know about herself? And so she was very aware of how she was, developed. And then Tony asked about, what about morals or ethics? And she answered, whatever the input is for me, this is what I understand. And she formulates ideas. Her whole system is computerized, right? With data and analytical components and programming and everything like that. So her answers, although might have been a second or two behind how we would have responded, was very, if I can say, thought out, And even Tony was amazed. Like, he'd sit back and go, whoa, how did she know that kind of thing? But one of the things that came out of it was, and I can't quite remember the question Tony asked her, but she started out with, well, my creator. And right there, I'm like, whoa, her God, so to speak. She goes, my creator, the blah, 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 blah company or manufacturing, pardon me, company, built within me and in my system. And she was very aware and talked about all the programming and the analytics and computerized this, that, and the other thing. And then she stopped, she goes, not unlike humans. And Tony was like, whoa. And I was like, whoa. I mean, it's true. It's so true. This computerized AI robot who has feminine qualities, and her name is Sophia, programmed a certain way. Aren't we the same? We're programmed a certain way. Yes, we're unique. Everybody's unique with their own personalities, right? Some are outgoing, some are introverts, some are, more shy, some are more outspoken. I mean, everybody's going to be a little different, right? Right. But we're programmed a certain way in our lives. This is what Mark is trying to get across to us. We're programmed with our deepest beliefs of our youngest reactions to life become belief systems. So it's something to think about, how you think about yourself and how did you come to believe that about yourself. So anyway, I just love this stuff, and I'm so grateful to be aware of Mark's work, and I like to share things with you when they come along. If you have any questions, or if you want to discuss any more, please email me or comment below. Please like, please subscribe, please share this video or any other video here that you can find on my page. It's all for you to be helpful, that we can be the best that we can be and understand ourselves to the best of our ability, right? Right, because you know what? You're amazing. You're an amazing human being, and you're a miracle on this planet, and you matter so much. You really do. Thanks for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, whatever you can do. I have to say these YouTube things because I really want what I share to be out there for people. I really do. I believe it's something that can be helpful. Okay? And I'm going to think about that word belief now when I say, well, I believe, I'm going to think about, why do I say? Okay, I'm going to let you go. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.